Hey everyone, it's Evelyn and we're going to make September bouquets today. So this is what we're going to use for in the bouquets. And I have a pot of sunflowers. Obviously, as you can see here, I have gold light and orange, which look the same except for the center. There's some red in here, although I will tell you that I do not find that red gets really turkey-necked when after I cut it. I don't know why that is. So I tend not to use the reds in the bouquets. I have bicolor red lemon. I don't appear to have any plum. And I think I used the whites already up this morning when I got the flower wagon ready to go. So then we have dahlias. Heavy on the Spartacus today. I've got one that is actually a Yarra Falls, which has hardly any white in it at all. Just give me one sec. Why is she complaining? Oh, she can't get at her ball. One sec. Where's your ball? How did you tuck it in there? God, it's wedged between something. This Yarra Falls has hardly any white on it whatsoever. It should have white tips on all the ends. I have 3 Spartacus, which is why I said heavy on the Spartacus. 1 AC Loomis, which doesn't have much white on it either. It's the one that tends to have little white tips and the frosting on the back, but it's looking, and a little bit more crimson than the Spartacus. But even this one's looking quite red, which is interesting because it usually gets lighter as it gets a little cooler out in the daylight shrinks. Of course, we're not really cooler yet. I think our high today is 22, which is, I don't know, I'll put it up on the screen for Fahrenheit. And then I have 1 AC bent. Bear in mind I had more this morning because I have already gotten the flower wagon going. This is what I have left for the day. Then I have, you which fell out of here. No. There. Then I have three. I've got some more. Where are they? Where did I put them? There we go. I kept this aside to put it in with the sunflower so I wouldn't get it mixed up with my bouquet this morning because I haven't had one to show you. So this is what my Chantilly bronze looks like for September. It's got a really sturdy stem. I mean, if I hold it at the end and I wobble it, sure, the flowers wobble around, but that's a sturdy stem. And then, of course, my Orleans Early Lemon is really sturdy as well. Let's put those again there, too. I have a few Legends Light Pink, but you can see here, the stems are thinner and they're much more wonkier. So they don't perform as well in the fall. I mean, you can do that. And the stem really wonks, right? Oops, that's a sunflower. But if I take the Chantilly bronze, it doesn't wonk like this one does. Like, I'll put them together so you can see the difference. There. Oops. I don't know if you can see that, but this one really wonks around, whereas this one doesn't. Neither does the Orleans Early Lemon. So that's why I'm thinking I won't do, well, I'm definitely happy about cutting out Legends Light Pink and Costa Silver, which is much the same, because they don't perform well as in the second flush for the fall. So then, put these all, guys, I have my Cosmos. Now the Cosmos, you'll see I have my bicolor violet double click. Most of them have been singles, but I'm starting to get some doubles now, which is interesting. So they shot up in height, which is really cool. This one just bent over, so that's not going to be good for anything. You can use this one just for a filler. I'm just going to put these away. I want to show you something about the Cosmos. So that's today's. This was yesterday's. So this was 2 days ago. This is Cosmos from, hey, back off. This is Cosmos from 2 days ago. They're still looking good. So a lot of people say Cosmos really only hold up for a day or two, but these are 2 days old, and I think they're still looking pretty good. This one's a little floppy, but that one's fantastic still. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that. And then if I go to 3 days ago, Same thing. These are from 3 days ago, these Cosmos. They look great. So I'm happy with how the Cosmos hold up. You'll notice these are all the bicolor violet ones. So interestingly enough, even though I was lamenting that my bicolor violets were staying really short still, and it was my Rose Bonbon and my Snow Puff double clicks that had the height, then right after I said that, these like shot up in height and became the taller ones. So don't know how that worked out. But these are 3 days old. So they're down there just doing Boz tests in life. And then I have snowberries. So snowberries are not as prolific with the berries as they were last year. Get one of these out of here. So this is what the snowberry branches are looking like right now. And you can see I'm starting to get, bring that over. I'm starting to get some rotten ones on there because we've had a few days of lots of rain. So that's what I want to try and avoid by putting them into pots and keeping them under cover when it rains. But they do look really, really pretty. There's a branch where it's just the singles. The berries will last all winter so long as they don't get rained on, because they turn to what you saw, brown mush, as soon as the rains start. So if they're in pots, they could become a really, really excellent October addition to bouquets. Which means that I would not use them necessarily in September. But they're not in pots yet, they're still in the garden. So I might as well use the berries while they look good, and they will not look good in October because presumably we'll have gotten into the rains by then. I mean, who knows? This year has been really weird all over the place with weather. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a bouquet, and since I use 3 dahlias in a bouquet, I'm going to use I'm going to just use all 3 Spartacus. Keep it simple. And then that leaves me with another 3, which is an AC Loomis, a Yarra Falls, and an AC Ben. So for this bouquet, we'll use all 3 Spartacus. Now I like to group them in a 3 to start off with, and then I will open them up with my fingers while I put stuff in between and higher up. So the first thing I would put in between and higher up is, where's that really nice thick snowberry branch? There it is. It's the snowberries. Because it has only a lot of give if it has little side branches at the top. Like this one doesn't have a lot of give. So that's a nice piece to just have coming out the top. Then I'll take my Chantilly Bronze Snapdragon, and I'll put it in between 2 of them. And I'll come in here and I'll put a Orleans Early Lemon in between these 2. And I'll come in between here and I'll grab my Legends Light Pink, which looks really funky, but that's perfectly fine because what it does is it pushes out sideways from the large dinner plate dahlias. I like it when they do that little curve because they don't get buried in the dinner plate dahlias so much. They actually kink out sideways from them and they create better airiness to the bouquet with that shape. So I'm happy with getting that kind of shape. Now I'm not going to use the Cosmos in this bouquet because I try to stick to an 11 or 12 stem bouquet because I've done the 3 Snapdragons and I put the snowberries at the top. This is going to end up already being a 12 stem bouquet. So the next thing I always do in my bouquets while I have the product available is in between but lower the 3 dinner plates, I do sunflowers. Now I really like the way the gold light or the orange sunflowers look in between the deep red of the Spartacus. So that's what we're going to put in between each one of these. I'm going to look for the biggest ones. This is the next one. So that's another gold light in between there, and then we're going to put one in between here. And it's going to be an orange because it's got the dark center. Pull off the leaves that are below my thumb. I mean, isn't that already just looking beautiful? Then I'm going to add, where do I have them? Let me find, oh, there they are. 2 branches of laurel leaves because I always do that. I noticed that the orange sunflower has a bit of a low neck, so this is a perfect place for the laurel leaf to be positioned because I can go underneath the orange and push up, and the laurel leaves will help hold up that orange sunflower, pull off the extra leaves. And then because that's on this side and I don't need it anywhere else, I'll just put the other branch of laurel leaves on the other side. This one I plucked off a top leaf because it had some bug damage on it, but that gives me the ability to put this one little leaf in between and poking out the top, which I think looks good. And that is basically my bouquet, and that's a 12 stem bouquet. I'm then going to get a tie of twine, fold it in half, hold the loop open with my thumb, reach around the other 2 ends, feed it in between and pull tight, and that will hold the bouquet in place while I put it down on the table and tie it in a bow like I would a shoe. Once I've tied it in a bow like a shoe, whoops, dog bowl, I'm going to get at the ends, and I'm going to look for the shortest stems, and I'm going to go just a little bit longer and cut the rest of the stems off. And that's my bouquet. Now, I then put it on my station where I photograph it. I find a spot where how I think it looks nice, like I'll spin it around and look for a spot that looks nice, hopefully more than one, and then I can take more than one picture of it. Sometimes of which I post on my post page on my YouTube channel, which you can find on my homepage if you can't find it anywhere else. I need my phone, which is up there, to take the picture of the bouquet. But before I do that, I'm actually going to take the phone, put it on my short stick, and show you where my cosmos are growing, because I talked about them a lot in my last video, which was my flower experiments for 2025. So let me just show you what they're looking like. Just a sec. So this is where my cosmos are. Now for reference, this is a drop-off, and that drop-off is approximately knee height. So then comes the cosmos, and behind them is my last plantings, 4 plantings of sunflowers, which are where my anemones and ranunculus were before. So if you come around this way, that was the anemone bed, and that was the ranunculus bed. After I dug the corms up, I was able to do 4 plantings of sunflowers, so there's approximately 400 here. So that should give me about another month's worth of sunflowers. You'll notice that there's none blooming because, of course, I cut them every morning. But, you know, these ones will probably be, for instance, ones that I'll cut for tomorrow. And let's get back to the sunflowers, and pardon me, the cosmos, and I've got my measuring tape here, and I'll show you how tall they are only. They are only 30 inches tall, which is perfectly fine for bouquets. Now, I will say these sunflowers aren't exactly really tall either. So that's either the shorter days, the cooler days, or the combination thereof, because my sunflowers, when they're getting ready to bloom, the tallest ones are at about 52 inches. And this one, for example, is at about 45 inches. So things are not growing as tall anymore as they were earlier on in the season, which is one reason the fact that my cosmos, as I mentioned in my previous video, were not growing quickly was worrying me, because things have slowed down so much in their growth. But as you can see, the bicolor violets are definitely almost taller than the rose bonbon ones. There's a couple of white ones over there which are even shorter. But the bicolor violet ones, they're really short. I mean, these ones are only, what's that? 17 inches tall. Perfectly fine. Well, a little bit short for a bouquet. But yeah, so that's what I've got for my cosmos and my sunflowers. Okay, now I'm going to go take a picture of that bouquet, and I'll be back in a sec. So I've taken the pictures of the bouquet. I'll put a picture up here so you can see what it looks like. Now we're going to wrap it, because this is going to be the next bouquet that goes up to the flower wagon when the one up there sells. So I take my square, 18-inch square that I've ripped off of a roll. I just fold it into a point. I take my bouquet, see if I can do this where you can see it better. I might be able to use this, hang on. There, can you see that? Yeah, so then I take my bouquet and I find the spot that I want to lay up against the peak. I put it there fairly close to the bottom of the bouquet. I then just fold it like that in a square, and then I crunch it. So then I go to where the peak is and I fold the peak down, and then I hold the bottom stems, which is why I don't go all the way to the bottom. I hold the bottom stems and then I just push it up. And that's how I wrap it, because I really like the way that looks. Then I take my next tie. I'm not going to use this one. It's got this really weird funky thing in the middle of it. Grab another tie. Fold it in half. And tie it exactly the same way I tied the bouquet. So people can untie the wrap and leave the one on the bouquet, because I've already got it arranged for them. And many of my customers do that. So that's now tied in a really nice looking bouquet with the wrap on it. Then I'm going to grab a milk jug with the top cut off with water and put it in here so that it stays on hold, ready to go up to the flower wagon when the one that's up there sells. I try to only keep one up there if it's the height of the season and they're selling really quickly. I'll put two, but I try to keep only one up there because it's exposed to the weather and the flowers will hold better if I only put one up there at a time. Normally I would leave it on the burl, and then my husband will know that this is the next one to go up to the flower wagon if I'm not home, but I'll put it off to the side. I'm also going to, because I've got this empty, I'll put that down there, show you how I cut my wraps. So this is empty because I literally just cut them all yesterday. So I'm just going to pull these away. So here's my roll of 18-inch craft paper. Then I use a square from the shop. This one's a bit rusty, so it doesn't get used in the shop anymore. Then I just pull it out. It's not attached to anything. The wall holds it in place. And when I've got my 18-inch square, I can just put the square along the top so it stays square, and then just tear it. And then just hold it up, pull this out again, put it down, and tear it. And that's how, and then I just leave that up against the wall. So that's how I do my cuts on my wraps. It's effortless. Anyway, I'm going to now make another bouquet for you, and I'm going to use, and I'm not going to use the, well, we'll see what I'm not going to use. I'm going to make another bouquet that I'm going to use the cosmos with. So we're going to start off with the only 3 dahlias that I have left, which is great that they're in 3, because that's what all my bouquets start off with, is 3 dahlias. And it's usually just whatever's available. So these are what's left available. So I have my AC Loomis with a little bit of white in the back. I've got my Yarra Falls, which should have more white on it. And then I've got the AC Bin, which is the orange one, which seems a little bit out of place with it, but we're going to make it look more in place based on what we put with it. So then, because I have them, and next week it's going to be raining all week. So the snowberries, well, you're watching this on Saturday. I can't remember what day the rain starts. Might have already started on Saturday, but we're going to get rain for a whole week. The snowberries are all going to be mush, so the snowberries need, I'm going to use them. This is the last week I can use them. So I'm going to put one up the top too, but this isn't as floppy as the other one. And then I'm not going to use the snapdragons. I'm going to use the cosmos. So let me get these snapdragons out of the way just for just for now. I'll put them back in here in a minute. We're going to get the cosmos out, put them down on the ground, on the table, and spread them out because they do like to get stuck to each other. And if I break them apart, then I can see what I've got. So here's a really nice long stem of pink, which I'm going to put between the two, the AC Loomis and the Yarra Falls. Then I've got a white one. I'm going to put that between the Yarra Falls and the AC Ben. So this is AC Ben and this is AC Loomis. So they're both made by the same creator. They have, do they have the same look on their petals? Not exactly. This is slightly more pointier. But anyway, I've got another white one. The thing with the cosmos is I tend to put in more. So this is going to be more than a 12 stem bouquet because the cosmos just don't add much. So I'm going to put both white ones on the same side as though it had two. And then in between on this side, I'm going to put the bicolor violet. That one's broken, so I can't use that. That one was broken and it's too short, and these two are only good for foliage. So we'll just leave it with the one. Now I'm going to do the sunflowers. Now for the sunflowers, I'm going to use the bicolor red lemon. And I'm going to put those in between. Now the bicolor red lemon, because it's so different than the other three colors, that helps with the AC Ben because I'm adding in another really vibrant color in there. And, well, that's really annoying. I only have the two. Can I go into One Day Younger and find a nice big one? Yes, I can. So I'm going to steal one that I would normally use tomorrow and put, I want to use the one that's the most open in between the Yarra Falls and the AC Loomis because I want to have that color on this side. Let's pull out my Cosmo there. Yeah, I want to have that on that side. Cosmo needs to go higher up. Okay, so then I've got this one here, and then I'm going to do the other, not quite as open one on this side. Because this is the side that I need to bring in some more of that different color so to help make the AC Ben look more like it belongs. Pull off all the leaves that are below my hand, and then grab another couple of laurel leaves. So, we're just going to put one here, and then we're going to come around to the other side and put this one here. And that's what we got left, and that's really pretty. And then we're going to get a tie. Tie it the same way that I did. Turn it around, cut off, find the shortest stem. And sometimes if a stem looks like it's way too short, like this one here, then I'm just going to pull it down. That's going to be a Cosmo, and if it's too low, it's too low. Oops, then I'm going to cut the rest of the stems off just a little bit longer than the shortest stem. Still haven't sharpened my pruners, which means they're not going to get sharpened this year at all. I never even sharpened them last year. They need it. And take a picture of this one. So we'll put it back on the burl. Move this out of the way. Get my phone. Took the pictures. Now, got to wrap it. And I'm going to wrap it exactly the same way as I did the other one. This one will not go on the burl. Could, because really, what's the difference if this goes up to the flower wagon next or the other one does? I could say that Cosmos don't last as long as Snapdragons, so maybe this should be the one that goes up to the flower wagon next. So we'll put this in. I had the bouquet sitting in here in water while I went and showed you the dahlia beds. I'll put this one here, and this one can sit here. And that's how the order of those ones will go. What's interesting for me is there's similarities to my August bouquets, because I used dahlias and sunflowers in my August bouquets, and of course laurel leaves. But I didn't use snapdragons, snowberries, or cosmos. So while the bases, oh, hang on, I'm going to interrupt my thoughts here. I wanted to show you this. So 2 weeks ago, when I talked about my favorite perennials to use in bouquets, this was the branch of astilbe that I used. And you can see it's still usable. It's not completely dried out yet. That's 2 weeks old. It looked really good a week ago. So leaving the astilbe fronds on the astilbe plants once they've lost their color gives them really, really good function for fall bouquets. And once I start no longer having the snapdragons or the cosmos or whatever, these will come in really, really handy. The other thing that's really interesting is, as I showed you, I don't remember what video it was. If I remember, I'll put it up on the screen. But this is the same rosemary branch. I was going to use it, and then I thought, no, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how long it lasts in a vase. So this is, I think it's 3 weeks old, and it's rosemary, which I love the smell of, and it's still perfectly good. So rosemary would make a really, really good filler in bouquets, vase arrangements, or whatever, because they hold up fresh nicely in water for a long time. And my hydrangea blossom, so the oak leaf hydrangea, which looked so good when I harvested it and showed you on the camera, has lost all of its color and doesn't look that great anymore, but has nice texture. But it didn't keep the pink and the green. The blue mop heads are still quite fresh, even though they've been in water for about 3 weeks. They haven't dried up like the oak leaf did. This is quite much crispier, as you can hear. But this one, actually I should hold it up to my mic. Where's my mic? There it is. That's the oak leaf. That's the mop head. And that's been cut for about 3 weeks. And it's still nice and blue and still nice and fresh looking, even the leaves. So it holds up exceptionally well once it's cut. The Firelight one that I cut is also crispy, and the colors are kind of gone. So the mop heads are great in the for fall bouquets, because they hold up so well with their color and everything still. So really, really happy about that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so the bouquets in August, although they had the same base of dahlias, sunflowers, and laurel leaves, what kind of came out the top and gave it its airiness and movement was completely different. And if you want to know what I used in the August bouquets, you should check out this video over here, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!